Hi everyone, welcome to Momaste. My name is Elif and today I want to talk to you guys about some pregnancy myths that I've come across as I've entered into my second trimester now. I have a list of 8 things that I want to talk to you guys about. Number 1, pretty much when I first got pregnant and I was sharing information with friends and family, everybody was asking me, well, we're just gonna excuse that. Hey, be nice to your sister and be nice to your brother. Hey, stop it. Okay, alright. Anyway, one of the first questions they were asking me is, well, how do you feel? And my first reaction was, I feel really nauseous. Hadn't thrown up, still to this day, I have not thrown up, but I'm nauseous all day, every day. So, and everybody's advice to me was pretty much you have a month and 2 left. Once you're out of your first trimester, you don't have to worry about nausea anymore. That is so false. A lot of the people who have actually given me this exact advice have then later told me that they were nauseous for maybe 6 months. Some of them throughout their whole pregnancy, some of them threw up, some of them didn't. So that is not true. Do not think that, pretty much your first trimester is like, the worst of your belly aches and nausea and or vomiting if you are vomiting. You really have no idea how it's gonna go. And then I've also heard that depending on, different pregnancies, that can also change. So you could have just a first trimester nausea on one of your kids, and then for maybe your next 2 kids, you're nauseous and throwing up for like the whole pregnancy. So that was myth number 1. Let's see. Oh, myth number 2. I have heartburn all the time. It didn't start up until I hit like month 2. It's like I've mentioned it in one of my previous, it might have been actually the most recent video that I posted, how I can like regurgitate my food a little bit and it's all like acidic, it like gets to the top of my throat. You guys are just great. Yes, you stay over there, you stay over there. And then I like get this food, at the top of my throat, and then it goes back down. It's horrible. I eat a lot of spicy foods, and I have actually cut back on a lot of the spicy and saucy foods that I have been eating, but I still kind of get it a little bit. Not as much as I used to, but I think it's safe to say that it hasn't completely left me. And this is what everybody was telling me is you don't get heartburn till like the end of your pregnancy. Generally when you enter your 3rd trimester, and I think that's just because as the baby gets bigger, it's just like really compressing all of your organs in your stomach. So anything and everything you eat can just kind of feel not so great. Not true, because I got heartburn like, fresh into my 1st trimester. Number 3, let's see. Oh, that you can't eat fish. This is like a big one. Maybe I was kind of like ignorant to this in the beginning, thinking that, you really just can't have any fish. That was one of the first questions I had for my OB, actually, who is a holistic OBGYN, and she gave me a list of things I need to do in terms of like nutrition, what I can and cannot eat. One was more like a general nutrition facts sheet, and it's like, this is good for you and it's still a healthy route, and it's usually for people who can't do the extreme. And then she gave me the sheet of paper that had more of like the extreme, more of the like you really, if you're really like one of those people who are like, oh, just like no GMOs, all organic, I don't even know what else to say about it. But if you're a little bit more strict with your diet and what you eat and what you put inside your body, then this is the sheet that you should follow. So before I knew that, like in the first visit, I got both of the sheets and I didn't really know, because I was comparing information from one sheet to the next, and then I was also doing my own research and I was getting a lot of like mixed information. Well, that's the thing. Like I think I was kind of following like the not so strict sheet at first, because I'm like, I mean, this still sounds really, really healthy. I should be eating this kind of stuff.
But then when I asked her my questions, she clarified things for me. But anyway, back to fish. Fish was on these lists, obviously, so that's what spiked my interest. I'm like, oh, I thought I couldn't eat any fish. Not true. I think one of the biggest issues with not eating fish when you are pregnant is the mercury levels being too high in your pregnancy, and how that can be harmful for you and your baby. Well, this is true, but you see, mercury is only harmful to you and your body if there are not enough selenium also in the fish. Selenium is, and let me make sure I am pronouncing that right. Yes, selenium. Selenium is a type of mineral. It has a very high, binding affinity to mercury. So when you find these two minerals in nature, they combine and they make a completely different new substance. And this is actually very poorly absorbed by humans, making it great. So I have a link that I've posted at the bottom of this vlog that will kind of give you like the species of fish, and it'll show you what their mercury level is and where their selenium level is. And so if you see something that has a higher selenium level than a mercury level, safe and okay to eat. If it's the other way around, not safe to eat. One of the top 3 fish that she told me that would be very beneficial for me in my pregnancy was salmon, sardines, and mackerel. The only 2 that I've been able to keep down is salmon, and even that, like, I can't always have it like warm and cooked. I have like this like raw, I mean not raw, let me rephrase that, it's cooked, but it's like a cold paste, like a salmon paste that I found is really, really yummy, which I think also in one of my previous posts. So you can eat fish. I mean, it's a great source of omega-3s, but it's not your only source of omega-3s either. You can get your omega-3s in, like raw walnuts, raw almonds, especially if you are a vegetarian. There's a whole list, and I will also put a link at the bottom in ways that you can get your omega-3s other than just eating fish. Number 4, this was so sad in the beginning. They were like, you can have any unpasteurized cheese, and I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, like, I love cheese, but I think I can live with that. And then they told me, well, it's goat cheese, brie, and feta cheese. There might have been some other ones, but that was the top 3 that I was concerned with, because they were like my favorite cheeses. I mean, I'm Turkish. Like, I'm in the Mediterranean, like, that's feta cheese, goat cheese, like, those are big ones. I don't think I ever really had brie till I moved here, but fell in love with it. It's freaking delicious. So I was bummed. I did that for about like a month, and then I was at the grocery store, and I was like, I'm just gonna like read the back of these cheeses, because I still wanted some soft cheeses. I'm like, maybe there's cheese out there that's yummy, that's kind of like a substitute, but it's pasteurized. All the cheese, I think in America, is like pasteurized. Obviously, unless you're going and picking it up from a farm, then I don't know if it is pasteurized or made with unpasteurized milk. But I put the back of like the feta that I bought, the brie. I think at that visit, I only bought brie and goat cheese, but like I was like reading the labels. I picked up one and I'm like, pasteurized milk, yes! So I like stocked up to make up for the month's worth of, not being able to have goat cheese. But so, I mean, it's true, you cannot have unpasteurized cheese, but you shouldn't just, say like, oh, like, your goat cheese, your feta cheese, brie cheese, like that all falls into the category of unpasteurized cheese. Yes, those are mainly the ones that can be made with unpasteurized milk, but generally if you live in the States, I like, this cheese is made with pasteurized milk. So has a sad myth, and I'm glad I reversed it. So myth number 5 was stretch marks. This is like something that everybody's talked about, like even when I was like a young teenager, is lather up your belly with cocoa butter, all the butters, all the oils, and you won't get stretch marks. There's also all these like super expensive creams that are labeled great for stretch marks, and you could use those as well, and they're all supposed to help you not get stretch marks. Yes and no. So yes, you should still lather up your belly, your whole body really, with like butters and oils, like coconut oil, shea butter, cocoa butter, any like natural lotions, or I mean honestly I think butters are the best, but anyway, you should still be doing that. That is still good practice. But it's not the only thing that's going to affect whether you do or don't get stretch marks in your pregnancy or period. One thing that people don't know is, so collagen plays a big part in stretch marks, and our body stops producing collagen when we reach the age of 25. It stops producing it at the rate that it was before. So pretty much that's why as we get older, we see all of the fine lines, the wrinkles, and stretch marks for sons. Eating a lot of collagen-based foods is a really, really good thing you can do in your pregnancy if you really do want to prevent stretch marks, on top of lathering up with your cocoa butter, shea butter, whatever. Citrus, berries, fish, those are all great ways to get collagen. I could give a little list also down at the bottom for ways that you can eat collagen-based foods. Also though, you could do all of these things and then you can still get stretch marks. Just be genetics. You just be in your genes that you are going to get stretch marks, and then that is the sad truth of it all. And there's nothing you can do, nothing at all, but enjoy the journey. So it is a myth, a little, that you, if you did, you know, apply your stretch mark creams or your cocoa butters, that you're not gonna get stretch marks. That's not true. A lot of what you eat plays a big, big role in the elastin levels in your body. So I also would recommend, and this is my personal opinion, don't go out there and spend a lot of money on like really expensive stretch mark creams. Organic shea butter, raw shea butter, you know, cocoa butter, those are all just, in my opinion, much better, more effective than some super expensive stretch mark cream. Later on, I will show you the little mix that I've made with like vitamin E oil, shea butter, cocoa butter, and coconut oil and olive oil. It's a way that I just kind of lather me up. And not just for my belly, I mean, I can use it for anywhere. But so yeah, that's another myth. Moving on. Next one on my list, kombucha. I like kombucha. I drink it all the time. I'd say maybe like twice a week. I mean, there are times where I go, you know, weeks without having it, but generally if I do, you know, I'll have it like twice a week or so. We also make our own kombucha here and there when we feel up to it, and it's delicious. I love the like the vinegary taste of it. I like the kombuchas that we make versus the ones we buy from the store, because the ones in the store taste a little less vinegary, and unlike most people, I like that vinegar taste. But anyway, so one day I was drinking kombucha, and this was shortly after I found out that I was pregnant. And all of a sudden, after like 2 sips, I'm like, wait, I don't think I'm supposed to have kombucha because there's like live culture and bacteria in this. So I went on my phone and I did some fast Googling, and almost all the like top articles that popped up were like, no, it's horrible for you, like dangerous for you. It's, you know, the bacteria is not, you know, good for the baby, and just a whole bunch of things of no, don't have kombucha when you're pregnant. And so I was freaking out, and then I was like, okay, I've only had like 2 sips. So I went ahead and I emailed my doctor, and I think within like 2 days, she emailed me back. She was like, kombucha is perfectly fine. So I actually waited until my next doctor's visit to like get a more detailed answer. And it is that, yes, I mean, there really is not a lot of science like supporting if you should or shouldn't have, well, so kombucha falls into like fermented foods. So let me speak not just for the sake of kombucha, but for fermented foods. And that's like kimchi, sauerkraut, and then kombucha. I'm sure there's other fermented foods, but those are my top 3 favorites. So, lost my train of thought. Fermented foods, yes. Yeah, there is not a lot of science out there. That's like research that has been done. It's just really like a lot of old articles kind of saying like, oh duh, common sense, you know, like it's got live bacteria in it, and you know, it's like fermented and it might not be good for you. Well, it is a hey, stop it. She's being so mean. Probiotics are very healthy for you. Yogurt is also a probiotic. There's another thing that was kind of like, if you should eat or not eat yogurt, especially like Greek yogurt, during your pregnancy. There is now more science that is available out there that is more positive towards fermented foods and probiotics. I think I found an article for that too, and I will post it at the bottom. I'll do a link to the article that I was reading about it. But pretty much, if you go on and you just do some Googling yourself, you're gonna see a lot of non-scientific articles. A lot of people who have just kind of given their testimonies by being like an at-home kombucha drinker that say like, oh, I'm perfectly fine, or you know, the people saying like, oh, I don't think it's okay. But recently, you know, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but there's just a little bit more science and more positivity geared towards having fermented foods in your pregnancy. So I'm eating all the kimchi, drinking all the kombucha, having me some yogurt all the time. I think I'm perfectly fine, and let me just say, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a, I don't do scientific research, so you should always consult your doctor or your OB before making any of the choices or decisions based on the opinions that I am giving. So I do want to say that because I know that fermented foods is like a big controversial topic in pregnancy right now, and I just don't want anybody to do anything based on just what I'm saying. All right, moving on. Number 7. This kind of also goes with kombucha and there just not being a lot of like science. So they say that you should limit your caffeine, and I'm really gonna just like focus on coffee. You know, when we're talking about caffeine, because I know there's caffeine in like dark chocolates and other things, but we're just gonna talk about coffee right now. So that you should pretty much cut out your whole like caffeine intake. Now there is more caffeine in teas that are caffeinated versus coffee. So generally they say no teas at all, but you can have like a 12 ounce, which is a small cup of coffee a day. Generally that's about 200 milligrams. So they say 200 milligrams or less is okay. I know that depending on where you go, where you get your coffee, I mean, there's just like different roasts. There's blonde, medium roast, dark roast. It can go from, 200 to maybe like 275 milligrams in a small cup of coffee. So I would say be careful with that. Now, this is also one of those things that just is not a lot of science. And if you do your own research, you will see pretty much two completely like drastic divide. No, steer away from coffee during your pregnancy to, oh, I am like, nobody's taking my cup of coffee away from me. I'm still drinking my 2 cups of coffee a day. So you get like two completely broad like answers when you go hunting for the answer for this. I am also going to post a link at the bottom of the blog that's going to be concerning this. It was kind of like a good way for me to get information to you and then let you make your own decision. And what it does is it's somebody who wrote an article based on 2 different scientific research that was done back in 2008, and how they both pretty much came up with, like I was saying, no caffeine, coffee is bad for you during your pregnancy, to we didn't see anybody have, I think it was about like miscarriages, and nobody had any miscarriages due to their caffeine intake. And then it just kind of like breaks down the studies for you, but it's a short article. It's easy for people to read, especially for somebody like me who has to dissect through a lot of information sometimes. So they did a really good job of kind of like making it really easy for you to understand the information between the 2 different scientific studies. And the whole thing kind of concluded saying, well, it's really still like up to you what you want to do. So my personal opinion on the matter is, at first I did cut out my coffee intake. I mean, we own a coffee shop. This is really hard for me to do. I'm just smelling the coffee beans and watching everybody around me drink their lattes and their cup of coffees. What I did find out that a single shot of espresso that you would find in a latte is actually like, I would say like 32 milligrams, I think 30 or 32 milligrams of caffeine. And I mean, I like a latte sometimes better than like just a straight cup of coffee. So I was like, I mean, 32 milligrams versus what they say is okay, which is the 200 milligrams or below. I was like, okay, so now, not every day, but maybe 5 days out of the week, I have a small latte. Sometimes I'll even do like the 1 shot for like a small latte, but then I will get a medium cup, so I'll fill it up with more of the milk because I really love like warm milk and coffee taste. So that's what I've been doing. I think I'm okay. I don't think it's gonna be a problem, but so that's my opinion on the matter. And it's just like when people kind of give you these like statements like, no, you have to cut out your caffeine. Sometimes like I wonder, like, where did you get your information from? Because you can't say that. There isn't a lot of scientific like science done behind it for you to be so like concrete with the advice that you're giving. And these are sad advices because I love coffee. Okay, this is the last one. Vitamin A. So I think also in one of my earlier posts when I was kind of going through like the nutrition and the I think it was my juice, because yeah, my beet and carrot juice. So, and I mentioned carrot being one of those things that you can get your vitamin A from. Now, this is true, none of that has still changed, but in your pregnancy, I mean, like, you would have to eat, there's also high vitamin A in kale too. And I think if I remember correctly, it was like, I would have to eat like 40 ounces of carrots or like 50 cups of kale to get my daily serving of vitamin A throughout my pregnancy. Even though carrot is still a good source, and kale as well too are good sources of like vitamin A. The best way that I've learned that you can get your vitamin A from is actually liver. I know it sounds gross. For me it's not so gross because I don't know if it is like a Turkish or like a Mediterranean thing, but I did grow up eating a lot of liver. I believe like beef liver to be exact. My dad would cook it all the time and he had like a special way of cooking it. My OB told me about it at first, and I was actually kind of excited even though my husband was like, that is gross. I'm like, don't kick it if you haven't tried it yet. But so we went to the store and it was really hard for me to find like organic liver. We went to Alexander's, which is like equivalent to Whole Foods here. I had not gone to Whole Foods, but anyway, so once I couldn't find it at Alexander's, I went ahead and I called my doctor, and I think this was around the same time I asked her about the kombucha, and I asked her, where can I get organic beef liver, you know? So she told me about this butcher that's like 15 minutes from our house, and I went there and I got the liver, and I don't know if it's just like I was trying to remember what the liver looked like when my father would get it. I don't really remember it looking like the ones I got. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but it was like cartilage in the center, and then there were these like circles almost of like liver, right? Like, and I'm supposed to like cut the liver out from like the center cartilage, but like the cartilage had veins that like went into the liver, so I had to like open up the liver to get it. And if anybody's ever worked with liver before, it is squishy, slimy, slippery. So I felt like I ended up wasting a lot of liver than actually getting some good use of it. Then, because I personally have never cooked it before, like I called my dad, I was like, it's your recipe, I gotta eat liver right now. And he told me, but like I felt like I had to cook it perfectly, and I don't know what liver is supposed to look like when it's fully cooked while I'm in the process of cooking it, because I've never cooked it before. So, that being said, I have kicked that to the curb, but not kicked the fact that I should have liver in my diet. Another link I'll also be posting. This is the guy who actually wrote the strict piece of paper that my OB gave me that I should follow. I think it's like Health Baby Codes, and he has like a book, like an ebook or something like that. You can sign up for it. I didn't. I just kind of went on his website, and he had like 8 or 10 articles that I thought were really interesting, so I read about it, and cod liver was one of them. So he talked about cod liver oil, and how pretty much like instead of going and buying like organic beef liver that you have to cut up and cook yourself, this is a great way of like putting liver into your diet to get a lot of vitamin A. Vitamin A is so good and important for you in your pregnancy. I guess what I'm trying to say is the myth about this is that when I talk about like make sure you get like, you know, your like in my prenatals, I think I have like vitamin A, it's in my prenatals, but it's not enough. So in the beginning, I was told that if I just take the prenatals, then I would get all the vitamin A that I need. That's not true. I need way more than that, and cod liver oil, cold pressed, is the best version of that. So yeah, a lot of things like that, like about the enough nutrition that I need. It's funny, people are like, oh, make sure you're eating your spinach, make sure you're eating this, make sure or you know, take your supplements. And I don't think people even know themselves, like, what is my daily serving of this specific vitamin or nutrient supposed to be? And I mean, I was kind of ignorant to a lot of things in the beginning, even though I had a lot of information because of how I lived my life beforehand, but I guess I didn't like, you know, I didn't realize how some things do change. Like I do have to like up my daily intake of certain things and certain vitamins, and I didn't really understand the importance of some of the vitamins at first. I was like, oh, I'm already eating enough of so and so, and you know, I'm getting my iron that way. No, it doesn't work out that way. So but anyway, these are the myths that I've kind of come across, and I don't know what more I'm going to be coming across. I kind of foresee when I'm like way further into my pregnancy making a video about all the things people tell me I need to buy for the baby, then I'm gonna realize I probably don't need it. But yeah, so I hope this is helpful for any of you who are being given the same advice that I am. If you have any questions, please ask them, post them. I will try to answer them the best way that I could. And namaste.